It is early 2013. The world is still reeling from the shockwaves of a name that has just become synonymous with the death of privacy. Edward Snowden. In a secure, nondescript room, journalists from the New York Times and Der Spiegel are sifting through thousands of classified documents, a treasure trove of secrets stolen from the heart of the American intelligence machine. They are looking for evidence of domestic surveillance. They are looking for Big Brother watching the little guy. But then, they find a folder that doesn't fit the narrative. It isn't about tracking terrorists in the Middle East. It isn't about monitoring drug lords in Mexico. The target is a corporate headquarters in Shenzhen, China. The document is marked, Top Secret Comment No Foreign. It details a clandestine offensive operation launched by the National Security Agency. For years, the United States government had stood on the global stage, pointing an accusatory finger at China, warning the world that Chinese technology was a Trojan Horse, a silent weapon of espionage waiting to be activated. They claimed that the telecom giant Huawei was using its routers and servers to spy for the Chinese military. But the document in front of the journalists reveals a twisted irony that feels like it belongs in a spy novel. The United States wasn't just afraid of the back door. They had already kicked the front door down. They weren't just suspecting Huawei of espionage. They were actively, aggressively hacking them. They were reading the CEO's emails. They were stealing the source code. The hunter had become the hacker. How did the NSA penetrate the most fortified tech fortress in China? And more importantly, what did they find inside? To understand the magnitude of this operation, we have to look at the target, Huawei. In the West, it was often viewed with suspicion, a shadowy entity rising from the mist of China's economic explosion. Founded in 1987 by Ren Zhengfei, a former engineer in the People's Liberation Army, Huawei was never just a company in the eyes of Washington. It was a symbol of China's technological ascendancy. By the late 2000s, Huawei wasn't just making cheap phones. They were building the backbone of the internet. They were laying the pipes through which the world's data flowed: undersea cables, mobile networks, massive server farms. From Africa to Europe to Latin America, the world was beginning to speak through Huawei hardware. In the corridors of the Pentagon and the NSA headquarters in Fort Meade, Maryland, this was a nightmare scenario. If China controlled the hardware, they controlled the flow of information. The fear was palpable. What if, with the flip of a switch, Beijing could listen to the world? What if they could shut it down? The US government publicly labeled Huawei a national security threat, effectively banning them from American soil. But banning them wasn't enough. They needed to know what was happening inside. Enter the Office of Tailored Access Operations, or TAO. Inside the NSA, TAO is the elite of the elite. They are not the analysts sitting at desks reading reports. They are the cyber warriors, the digital plumbers. They are the ones called upon when a target is offline, air-gapped, or heavily encrypted. Their motto might as well be, if it has a processor, we can own it. In 2007, under the Bush administration, the order came down. The objective was clear, but the scale was unprecedented. They weren't just going to tap a phone line. They were going to infiltrate the internal network of a company with 150,000 employees. They needed to navigate a digital labyrinth protected by some of the best engineers in the world. The operation was christened Shotgiant. The goal was twofold. First, find the smoking gun proof that Huawei was indeed spying for the People's Liberation Army. Validate the paranoia. But the second goal was far darker and far more pragmatic. The NSA realized that if Huawei was going to build the world's future networks, the NSA needed to be the ones holding the master key. They didn't just want to expose the Chinese backdoors. They wanted to install their own. They wanted to exploit Huawei's technology so that when a terrorist in Pakistan or a rival government in Iran bought a Huawei router, the NSA would already be inside, waiting. The audacity was staggering. They planned to hijack the very infrastructure they claimed was unsafe, weaponizing it for American interests. But getting inside the Dragon's Den in Shenzhen would require more than just standard hacking tools. It would require a campaign of digital siege warfare. The intrusion did not begin with an explosion. It began with a whisper, a digital ghost in the machine. The NSA analysts at Fort Meade didn't need to rappel down an elevator shaft like Mission Impossible. They used something far more effective: Fox acid. This was the NSA's secret weapon, a system of servers designed to hijack a user's web browser. Picture an engineer at Huawei's headquarters. He starts his day, logs into his computer, and clicks a link, perhaps a news article or a technical forum. In that split second, the NSA intercepts the request. Before the real website even loads, the Fox acid server injects a microscopic packet of malware into his browser. The door is open. Once inside the firewall, the TAO unit moved laterally, like a virus infecting a bloodstream. They weren't just looking for random files. They were hunting for the crown jewels. And they found them. The Snowden documents reveal that the NSA successfully penetrated Huawei's sealed intranet. They gained access to the high-security archive, where the source code for individual products was stored. This is the holy grail of cyber warfare. Source code is the DNA of a device. If you possess the source code for a router that connects millions of people, you don't just understand how it works, you can find its weaknesses. You can see the bugs that no one else sees. But the Americans went further. They didn't just want to exploit the machines. They wanted to understand the minds controlling them. The operation successfully breached the communications of Huawei's top executives. For months, perhaps years, American spies were reading the emails of Ren Zhengfei. They were parsing through his messages, his memos, his financial strategies. They were looking for the smoking guna, direct order from the Chinese Communist Party, a receipt for a bribe, a command from a general. They gathered so much data that the analysts complained they were drowning in it. "We have access to so much data that we don't know what to do with it," one internal memo read. They had mapped out the company's entire internal structure. They knew who talked to whom. They knew the sales targets in Iran, in Pakistan, in Cuba. The irony was blinding. The US government was warning the world that Huawei devices were potential listening posts for Beijing. Meanwhile, the NSA was turning Huawei's own internal network into a listening post for Washington. They were doing exactly what they accused the Chinese of doing, only they were doing it better. Fast forward to June 2013. The bubble bursts. When the New York Times and Der Spiegel published the slides from the Snowden archive, the fallout is nuclear. The slide, titled "The Many Goals of Operation Shotgiant," is plastered across screens worldwide. For Beijing, this was a propaganda victory handed to them on a silver platter. For years, China had deflected accusations of cyber espionage by claiming they were the victims of American hacking. The West laughed it off as deflection. Now, they had the proof in high definition. Huawei's response was a masterclass in corporate restraint, masking seething anger. "If the spying is true," a spokesman said, "it is known that such activities are not just against a company, they are against the billions of people who use these networks." The diplomatic cables burned white hot. The United States was caught in a moral contortion. How could they demand that allies like Germany or the UK ban Huawei equipment to protect their privacy, when the only confirmed entity violating that privacy was the NSA? Washington's defense was subtle, a distinction of intent. They argued that there is a difference between spying for national security and spying for commercial gain. They claimed the Chinese hacked American companies to steal trade secrets and give them to Chinese competitors' pure theft. The NSA, they argued, hacked Huawei solely to hunt for terrorists and foreign intelligence. "We spy to save lives, they spy to make money." That was the narrative, but the documents suggested a third motive. The goal wasn't just observation. The goal was exploitation. The NSA explicitly stated they wanted to use Huawei's technology to gain access to hard targets, telecommunication networks, in countries that didn't buy American technology like Cisco, but happily bought Chinese. If the CIA couldn't bug a phone line in Tehran because the equipment was Chinese, the NSA would simply hack the Chinese equipment from the factory floor up. It was a brilliant, ruthless strategy. But now, it was out in the open. So, what was the verdict? After years of infiltration, after stealing the source code, after reading the CEO's diary, did they find it? Did Operation Shotgiant prove that Huawei was a puppet of the Chinese military? The silence is the loudest answer. In all the leaked documents, in all the terabytes of data exfiltrated by the NSA, there was no smoking gun released to the public. There was no email from Ren Zhengfei taking orders from a general. There was no line of code labeled, "Send data to Beijing." If the NSA found definitive proof, they never showed it to the world. And if they didn't find it, it means that one of the most invasive cyber espionage operations in history was launched on a hunch that destroyed the trust in a unified global internet forever. Operation Shotgiant didn't end Huawei. The company continued to grow, dominating 5G networks across the globe, despite US sanctions. But the operation changed the world in a different way. It shattered the illusion of the neutral internet. Today, we live in the Splinternet, a world divided. Western technology on one side, Chinese technology on the other. A digital iron curtain has descended. Nations are forced to pick a side, not based on which router is faster, but on which superpower they fear less. The story of Operation Shotgiant teaches us a chilling lesson about the modern world. In the silent war for information, there are no innocents. There are no safe devices. There is no cloud that cannot be stormed. The NSA accused Huawei of building a weapon, and to prove it, they turned Huawei into one. As you watch this video on your phone or your laptop, connected to a router blinking in the corner of your room, ask yourself, who is holding the keys to your digital front door? The company that built it, or the agency that broke into it?